ladies and gentlemen, this is an unprecedented time. The coronavirus is rocking our world. We have to make do with this. We have to solve it. We figure out how we can enjoy ourselves and watch movies during this time. Sadly, many movie theaters are closed. Now, one of the last movies I went to see before this sad closing of all theaters was Onward. Now, Onward was a very bad film. But before I discuss how bad it was, I want to give a backstory to this film because it is not making any of its money back, and that is being blamed entirely on the coronavirus pandemic. But if you know about the movie The Good Dinosaur, which also did not make back all of its profits, it was also considered one of the most bland and unoriginal Pixar films to date. And Pixar, they are constantly churning out very original, inspired films with beautiful animation. I think it's only makes sense that they could have one film that they are just rushing to get out there on a schedule, and they just decide, well, it doesn't have to be too inspired. We can just animate it, based on How to Train Your Dragon and Trolls and shit like that, and people won't notice. But it is pretty noticeable because Onward is one of the most boring Pixar movies I've seen in recent memory. I mean, I watched this on Friday the 13th, and that meant death for this movie. Onward was doomed since its trailers first dropped, revealing a scraggly, uninspired, and color-splattered computer-animated film. I saw this trailer and I immediately thought, this is Pixar? This is Onward? This looks like it would be done by Illumination Studios, the company that does Minions. I mean, it's just so average looking. There's nothing that cool about it. The great thing about Pixar is ever since they stopped doing traditional animated films like Beauty and the Beast, at least their computer animated films have been detailed and fun to watch. Toy Story 4 was fine. I didn't love it, but at least it had that beautiful visual detail. They really go out with these films. Onward, it has nothing that I care to look at, or in its story, nothing that I care to look at. It's already laced with an overdone trope of the current run on kids' films, humanizing mythical creatures, fantasy elements, and meshing them into a relatable hybrid. I mean, I saw this with kids. I took 2 kids to see this, and they both hated it. They hated it. And I don't like using that word, but they were bored out of their minds. And I was thinking, well, how could this not be boring? And I realized that it's the stupidity of just following this formulaic plot. Like they're 2 brothers, Barley and what's Tom Holland's character name? Ian Lightfoot. Barley and Ian Lightfoot. Barley is a van, and they have a dad who they never have met except for Chris Pratt's character Barley. And Tom Holland plays the really meek, kind of weak character who just wants to see his dad. He's a nerd. And Chris Pratt drives a van, and he's very outgoing. And the whole time they just go on a quest onward to meet their dad. And the film does not deliver on that. I'm going to spoil it for you right here. They don't meet their dad. Barley does, and it may be satisfying as a story that, he gets to get some long-awaited comeuppance with his dad, but as an audience, it was very disappointing. This whole time you're just waiting at least for this one character to appear in the film, and he never appears in the film. There are really boring side characters, such as a gay lion sphinx creature, and somehow that generated controversy because the character was gay. I don't have a problem with it, but I do have a problem with them forcing the sexuality on a Disney character. Like, why would you do that? And why would you do it so... I mean, you don't have to do it so blatantly, but people were getting mad that it was so subtle. And I remember even thinking, that's weird that they would just say, it's my girlfriend's, my girlfriend's thing. So they just are casually throwing these references around, and that bothers me because if you're going to commit to, making someone sexualized in a way that, isn't so popular or isn't like in all movies, why can't they just make it a main character? Why does it have to be such a throwaway, subtle reference? I don't know. Onward pissed me off because it says we'll do a gay reference, but we won't have anything fun. We'll have some really subtle Easter eggs in there. And even those Easter eggs manage to piss people off. I don't know. It is just such a forgettable, uninspired movie. It's a dull riff on the likes of Brave, Monsters Inc. And by the way, this is from the director of its sequel, and it still looks worse than that movie. Big Hero 6, I mean, it just feels like it's taking from all these films. And now that the crown virus has wiped out every theater left standing in a mainly digital age, it's not a shock that while I was seeing this in the largest theater, by the way, I've seen this in the largest possible theater in my Cineplex. This was in Theater 1. There was no one there. And obviously, that has to do with the virus. But I just think this is a boring film. I think people will take their kids to see it. I just also think that it doesn't have the same Pixar appeal and wonder as other films. There's nothing so magical about this film, really. It just uses magic as a poster word for watch this movie. It's made by Pixar. As for Onward, it's lame. It's fundamentally broken. There's fun and cliched ideas that never take off. It's just very lame. Um, yeah. I wish that I got to see The Good Dinosaur 2 because I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen that. But the most boring Pixar movies to me are the ones where they just are following these dull formulas, and I've seen a million films like this, so I really hated Onward. I was disappointed by it, and I took two kids to see it, and they were both bored out of their minds. They wanted to leave. And they are usually intrigued by silly movies, Spies in Disguise, they enjoyed, so I don't know, man. Onward is a dull movie.